It's all out there, I'm telling you. So that's why it's impossible to answer the question. But the good news is that if you have those people who are interfunctional, the patient and the doctor, then there's going to be a different course of action that's going to be prescribed. And the first one is going to be, is this guy have diabetes? And if it is, how advanced it is? And if it's advanced, what are we going to do with insulin? What are we going to do with, what are we going to do with these various protocols?
Hello and welcome to Along the Way Life's Journey. I'm your host, Carl Bucciolato. I named this podcast Along the Way so I can bring forth guests and stories I have met along my long life's journey. Today's guest, Matthew Radin, is just such a man. I have known Matt for many years, and we work together building a major publicly traded company. Matt is one of those people who is equally gifted in both left and right side brain skills, a highly effective lawyer, and a very gifted jazz pianist. Matt was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and now lives on Long Island with his lovely wife, Sonja. They love traveling through Europe, but due to COVID, like all the rest of us, they've had to put that on hold. Currently, the managing member of Libertizing Professionals, Matt earned his bachelor in music in jazz and media music with performance in major in piano and minor in voice at the University of Arizona. He earned his law degree from Hofstra Law School. He has served as counsel to the Long Island Board of Realtors, New York Association of Mortgage Brokers. He created the in-house legal service legal management organization and the litigation management system, providing representation to realtors, physicians, and now dentists. He has managed more than 50,000 medical malpractice claims. He still loves to create and perform music and conducts 3 concerts a year. I wish I could be there, a few of them. There is much more to say about Matt, so let's get right into it. Please welcome my dear friend, Matt Radin. So how are you, Matt?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm just fine. It's a wonderful thing to see you. I love this technology that allows us codgers who can't travel very much these days the opportunity to see face to face.
Absolutely.
Telephone is one thing, but I like looking at, especially folks, you don't know this, but when I first met this young man, he had a beard out to here. He looked like the mountain man, full of strength. Well, he's still got strength, but the beard is all shaved. So, Matt, how is life treating you these days?
Yeah, I'm really amazed at the impact of collaboration that we have put in place based upon the realtors' ability to collaborate. Most people don't see the multiple listing service as a collaborative tool. That's exactly what it is. And you and I created solutions for public company that were based upon that knowledge, then expanded to HMS, which is a huge membership organization. Right. And from there, because of one of the directors of HMS, Dr. Mike, he helped me to repurpose the technology systems processes from realtors to healthcare. Started with Florida Physicians Insurance Company. And the reason for the dentists and what we're going to talk about today with diabetes is because one of my clients was the dentist insurance company owned by the California Dental Association. And one of them was the podiatry insurance company. And actually, I got that because of Mr. Don, the chief consulting actuary. He actually brought me in there. So you are the connector for just about everything that's happened for me over the last 18 years.
My goodness. Now he tells me, where's my 10% commission?
I'm here, aren't I?
I'm happy to do it. When you recommend people in the business world, you have to be very sure of who you're recommending, because it has to do with not only my reputation, it has to do with the people that I am recommending you to, and that they will in fact get the kind of service that they need. When you recommend somebody flippantly, that you're not doing anyone any help. But I was always happy to recommend, because as I said in the opening, you're a very effective guy. You get things done. When we first met, I was the president and CEO of a publicly traded company called Homeowners Group. And we had an insurance product, which we were innovative in creating, transactionally funded errors and omission insurance for realtors. And we had building claims all over the country. And we had, spotted pieces of an attorney here, an attorney there. And it was a loosey-goosey kind of thing. So we needed to create our own management tools for managing the claims, in-house systems. And then we had to have somebody to run the attorneys across the nation. So I don't even remember, how many did you actually motorize and get together with all of?
Well, for us, the referral is about quality, even more than quantity. So just as my firm was the lawyers to the Long Island Board of Realtors, which now is up to 40,000 members, the lawyers we selected, for the most part, were also lawyers for the Realtor Association. And they had to be strong in litigation, and they had to support our efforts to early resolution, because, insurance, they get paid by the hour, the exact opposite happens. And they had agreed to use our system. There's a long list of things they had to agree to. And one of those things was helping the HMS affiliate for that state sell more product. So that was at like 65.
It was a great tongue and groove.
Well, it was just easy because it became part of the risk management system. The warranty, such a high percentage of cases were related to misrepresentation to buyer. So if you already go off in the warranty, it took away a good chunk of those claims that could have come up. Then we had the article every month, the case for risk management, where we educated the people. So it was really amazing experience developing and implementing that, with you. So what I wanted to say is that 65 lawyers comprised the first meeting of a group called the Harmony Group. The Harmony Group is now up to 3,000 lawyer members.
Wow.
So it's like, but it's our foundation that did it.
And for those of you listening in or watching today, just to give you a scope of what we're talking about, just our company, Homeowners Marketing Services, because of the transactionally funded product that we were offering, we were involved in 1 out of every 3 home sales in the United States. That's an enormous, millions of sales going on across the country. And this is the guy who managed it for us. No wonder he pulled his beard out. Well, they were great days. They really were great days. But you went on to do some other very interesting things, of course, with your medical malpractice things with Mike, and now you're into this dental program. And I was especially interested in, when we were chatting the other day, that you told me dentists are probably better suited for early detection of many bodily diseases that people have. I never imagined that to be true. Why don't you fill us in a little bit on how that works? Yes,
it's interesting because one of my joint venture members lost her husband. And the diagnosis when he died was cardiovascular disease, which is one of those things that a dentist should be able to find when looking in your mouth. A couple of forms of cancer, diabetes, that's our focus. And having the background with the dentist insurance company and the podiatrist, I had always thought that as the podiatrist was the first point of contact for the diabetic. But that's assuming that it had already been detected. And so if they don't go to a podiatrist or they don't go and get examined, they're not going to find it until it may be way advanced. So what we've done is we started with the money because you follow the money, right? You follow, and so the whole mission for us with Libertizing Dentists is to help doctors 2x PV, double their practice valuation. So there's enough money to fund the transition from the older guy out and the younger guy in. So the next question is, as you know, with transactionally funded E&O insurance, and I remember hearing you, that was cherry picking time. Now we got to work with Matt. I'll never forget the cherry picking time, because your product was incredible and it took over the market. So I've known for some time that a doctor, dentist can look in your mouth and find these things, but there's really no discipline, and there's no really finding that the failure to do these things constitutes medical malpractice. Yeah. So I think we really need to get the message out there that when you're diabetic, you have a high chance of neuropathy, you have a high chance of amputations, which I think if you want to scare somebody, just look at that, amputation of the foot, then the leg, then the other foot, then the leg, and then you die. Yeah. And sometimes you die sooner than that. So rather than focus on saving insurance companies millions of dollars, we're now focusing on helping dentists who want their autonomy, they want their freedom to design and execute a plan that may include this. Because if you're really a healthcare professional and you know that this is available, shouldn't you be saving lives? Shouldn't you be,
isn't that part of the Hippocratic Oath?
Yeah, Hippocratic or hypocritic,
One or the other.
One or the other.
I'm from Brooklyn. What do I know?
So am I, around the corner from you. But the thing that really has me excited about this is a lot of people don't trust the healthcare system. And when you go through the traditional insurance claims process, a diabetic can get his cost of cutting his toenails reimbursed by insurance. Because if you permit infection to set in on your foot, then you get ulcers, the infection gets worse, you get neuropathy, you don't even know it's happening until it's too late. So we want to keep the options open for the patient, that if they don't want to have insurance, they want to pay out of pocket, then go to a holistic practitioner. Go to, actually, certain dietitians are also covered by insurance. So because we all know it comes down to sugar and what you eat. My passion for this is really based on my grandma Bess. And Grandma Bess was diagnosed with diabetes at the age of 45. She was the last grandparent to die at the age of 94. And every day between 45 and 94, every day, my sugar's up, my sugar's down. If my sugar's up, I got to eat less. Whatever that was, it made her very sensitive to the way her body was responding to the diabetes. And she was religious about what she did. And I think diabetes could be a blessing in disguise sometimes, because it gets you to take care of yourself a little bit more.
Well, they say that if you live long enough, you get diabetes.
My father just was diagnosed with that too. It's genetic. It's genetic.
I've just recently been diagnosed as pre-diabetic. What that means, I don't know. It probably means I shouldn't have sugar in my coffee, but I fooled him. I never put sugar in my coffee anyway. I haven't done it all my life. So I'm one step ahead of them.
Well, actually, you're many steps ahead of them, because pre-diabetes, if treated properly, will avoid diabetes. So you'll never get there if you do the things that are required with a pre-diabetic. I'm not sure if the pre-diabetes is actually available to the dentist when he looks in your mouth, but I think it's astounding that cardiovascular disease and diabetes can be detected.
Now tell me how does a dentist look in your mouth and without testing, because obviously they have to take blood tests to determine you're diabetic. How does he look in your mouth and determine this is potentially a diabetic person?
You remember we did a column, a case for risk management, for HMS, and we did an article about how to prepare for risk management. And one of them was identify the source of your information. That meant that since 20-30% of all the realtors were being sued for misrepresenting the property, then you had different people, especially starting with the lawyer, who can advise you on that path that you need to follow to make sure that you detect it. I will absolutely disclaim any knowledge of medicine. I do know how doctors get sued. And as a result of that, just looking into the reimbursement situation, I need to learn more about it. But carrier A, Aetna and Cigna may have different rules.
Okay, wait a minute. You're getting off the path. You're a lawyer after all. You're not answering my question. My question is, how does a dentist look in his patient's mouth and determine this person should be told, go to your doctor, I see diabetic issues here? How does he know that?
I don't know. It's more important to me that they get the job done, that we actually have that detection. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how any doctor practices medicine. I don't know, but I do know for sure that if you read the article we just published about diabetes and the need for collaboration,
okay,
I think that answer has got to come up not just by the dentist, but also by the podiatrist and also by the primary care guy.
Okay.
Because the dentist is going to say, I detect something. We don't say diagnose because it's not within the scope of practice. So therefore, I can't answer your question. The podiatrist can, because we've got to make sure there's no infection in the feet.
Yeah.
The primary care guy can, because they may submit for reimbursement and make sure the patient doesn't have to pay for that.
Right.
So that's the complexity. And so I can't possibly know the answer to that question.
Okay.
They look in the mouth and they say magically, Drizzle, Drazzle, Drozzle, Joan, time for this one to come home, and they create this magic.
Well, because after all, dentists have had various pre-medical training anyway before they elected their specialty to go into dentistry. So they do have some basic training in medicine.
Oh yeah. Well, the reason it's so hard for me to answer the question is because we first have to know what the patient's view is of holistic versus, allopathic medicine, the regular medicine. if you went to the holistic guy, let's say, in many cases, that patient who got that early report may feel only comfortable going to the holistic guy. Those are people who are schooled. There's Harvard programs on integrative medicine, a functional medicine, a holistic medicine. There's all of these different types of providers. So it's not unusual for you to go to a chiropractor who's specializing in nutrition and say, if you use that medicine the other guy gave you, it's going to kill you.
Yeah,
So,
right.
so that's the kind of lack of standards that we have, because doctors are actually accusing each other of telling the patient to do something that's going to kill them. It's all out there, I'm telling you. So that's why it's impossible to answer the question. But the good news is that if you have those people who are into functional, the patient and the doctor, then there's going to be a different course of action that's going to be prescribed. And the first one is going to be, is this guy have diabetes? And if it is, how advanced it is? And if it's advanced, what are we going to do with insulin? What are we going to do with, what are we going to do with these various protocols? It's always going to, a lot of times, it's going to come down to how much carbohydrates do you eat.
Yeah.
Also,
very often, of course, yeah.
Oh yeah, too much, way too much. Indian people have a real big problem because they eat a lot of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
And then there's different devices for monitoring. One that actually sits on your arm and it give you a real-time reading of your blood sugar all day long. You never have to prick your finger or do any of that stuff because there's no blood being drawn. So there's new ones with the cell phone. So so the answer is the dentist would actually be violating their own malpractice rules if they answered the question. They'd have to answer the question like, this is what I do. I've been trained to look in your mouth and find this, this, and this. I'm not going to tell you how I do it. That's why I can't do it. But what I think we need to do is get this information, get your records over to a podiatrist right away, because he's really skilled in diabetes treatment. And let's collaborate. Let's collaborate with him, me, and you, and figure out what's the best course of action. Because every course of action is going to have to be based on evidence.
Okay, so that kind of education is a side product for the consumer, but the fundamental basis of libertizing professionals is beyond the consumer. It has to do with you virtually becoming a business consultant for the dentist in estate planning and in strategies for retirement and wealth building and all of these kind of things that very often they have to go to 3 or 4 different people to get, and there's no consolidated vision. So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, with one modification. When you're trying to 2x PV a practice, you're trying to get it profitable. A lot of dentists will spend money on marketing, and they have no way for tracking the ROI. They have no way of tracking the profit. So what they're doing is running down their profit without any upside. I've met dentists who were billing 1.2 million, and we're spending 1.4 million on expenses. So
and you got to make it up in volume.
Exactly. That's what I tell them. I say that every time. So it's really important that they use this as part of their marketing, because if there's 10 dentists and one of them is marketing himself as helping patients save limbs and lives, that's how we boiled it down to that little marketing elevator speech, which I am grateful to you for helping me with, because you're the master of those things. So it's saving, you liked it, right? Saving limbs and lives. I mean, once that's what it is. So if the dentist starts advertising himself and getting a referral program going with saving limbs and lives, what other dentists are doing that within a 15-mile radius? Then you've got a marketing message. That's great.
Sets you apart. People pay attention. Right.
And it's part of the 2XPV mission, because everything you do should be saying, how am I going to double this practice? And the first answer is getting help. You can't do it yourself. So that's what we're doing.
Especially in this inflationary terrible cycle we're in right now in this country. They need all the help. Everybody needs all the help they can get.
Exactly.
We're really in a pickle.
Yeah,
we really are.
But we've always come up with some solutions to problems. So
that's right.
Why should we stop now?
That's right. That's the essence of this country. We have great talent, great capability. If we just get out of each other's way and let it happen, we get the government out of our way and let the people who know do the things that can be done, you cure the problems. You cure the problems.
And that's why you got to first have your data and your evidence in place before you can even consider what options are available. Right. And you can't consider what options are available. You can't make a decision until you have 2 or 3 people looking at the same information and seeing if they have any other ideas for coming up with a solution. which is why it was so amazing to me that when I came to the first HMS meeting in Lake Tahoe, for me, um, first of all, the thing happened. Dr. Mike came up to me and said, "When are you going to do this for dentists? I mean, for doctors?" I said, "I don't know. I don't have any idea." And 2 years later, he helped me to get into the first Florida Physicians Insurance Company. So that was incredible. That's why I can track 18 years back to you because of you. And when you take a look at HMS, in addition to the MLS as a model to build future companies on, there's so much there. Yeah, and you had to live through it to be there.
Right.
But there's so much more technology available now. So it's really a challenge to get, first of all, the information that you need. In the article on diabetes, there's several associations have been identified as concerned with this problem, starting with the American Diabetes Association. But I just think that once you know this, that collaboration between dentist, podiatrist, and physician, it just makes so much sense. Why would you say no? I'm not going to do that. I don't want to save patients' lives. Great, thanks for telling me now. I'm leaving. You don't care about my health. What am I doing here? So I think it's a really good way of separating the people that you want to work with from the people you don't want to work with.
So when did you start this effort, Matt?
Well, a lot of what you talk about is a journey. So it's been my journey. So if I cut my journey up into big chapters, the first journey came from music to law. 7 years out from there, Howard Goldson, counsel to Long Island Board of Realtors, made me counsel. A few years after that, the first legal plan for Realtors, and that was the amazing connection that you and I have because it was my first trade association, the National Association of Realtors Convention, and right next to our booth was HMS. And 4 years later, contacted the company, and next thing I knew, we were building this total risk management system. And thanks to Dr. Mike, we wound up creating technology. We wound up creating a synchronized database 4 ways: lawyer, field adjuster, insurance company, and us. They're in the LMO. That was the foundation for 10 different medical malpractice insurance companies on the system we created. So we were in the software business for about 18 years. But this was birthed by a coaching program that dealt with a guaranteed outcome. And the importance of guarantees. You have the home warranty, and they were guaranteeing that you'd make $100,000, but you gave her $10,000. There's one thing missing. Somebody's got to do the work. And so when I asked all the people that had signed up and given her $10,000 and said, who's doing the work? Nobody, except me. So I developed the system out of everything we had done before. That's what I'm saying. It's just the journey. And the system was based upon outsourcing all the things you need to do to get the guarantee, but you're not going to do. You look yourself in the mirror and say, am I going to make 6,000 calls? And the answer was no. So ever since that coaching program, it's just evolved out of that. I've been working with a dentist who claimed he can help 2XPV. That's always been, he's helping dentists to do XPV. He's also helping, he also owns equity in 10 different practices. So we have a hedge fund that we're working with. So what I got to do is put the two things together. We got a $100 million company, but it's a continuation of the journey. There is no when did you start this? Everything, having the dentist insurance as a client for 12 years was so important part of this journey. So the answer is it's ongoing since 1991. The dentists, particularly about 5 years when the hedge fund came to me and said, we need to acquire practices and then roll them into what's called DSO and sell it. So for the past 5 years, that's been the problem we're looking to solve. And it's a big one, because all these big companies are buying up dental practices and making them into employees. Right. And us, we got to help people to have their own business, have their own financial future. And all they did was buy an office building. They would 2XPV. But these companies are telling them they have to open their office in a shopping center. So you can see right there. I know.
Well, they remain captive to the company that way.
You went into dentistry, went 200, 400, 600,000 into debt to have your own business. And then you find out you can't afford it. So you have to be able to find the older guy who gets it, the younger guy who gets it, and plan a transition path over 5 years, we believe, that will double their practice so that there's enough to go around. And that's always been, we've been creating solutions together since 1991.
Okay, so before we go any further, for any of you out there who are dentists or parents of dentists who are helping them pay off their student loans. All of Matt's contact information will be in the show notes. So don't worry, you'll know how to reach him. You'll know how to find out, talk to him, and talk about all these issues. They will be in the show notes, how to reach Matt Radin and all his various contacts. Okay, now let's go further. That the important thing, I think, is to recognize that when the world starts telling us it can't be done, that's usually the reason you have to dig further, because there's a treasure of gold under there. When people say, no, 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 it can't be done, it's because they're too lazy, too frightened, or somebody else is attempting to get to it before you. So you got to move on. And that's what you're doing with this project. And I'm very happy for you to do that, because, you know, there's a sense in this nation that, you know, we have seen our better days, that the country is in a fall, and that everything that was great about this country is no more. And I say baloney. Even though I like baloney, this is no such thing. This country still has such strength and core to it, the very core of its people. We'll come through this. We'll come through stronger. Every time there's an incident in America where, you know, people say, you know, we're divided for this reason, or we're divided for that reason. Let the 9/11 happen. Let a hurricane happen. Americans tighten up their belt. They come together, and we overcome. We did it through all the world wars. We'll do it again. It's not going to, it can't ever be put out, because I honestly believe this is a country that was destined and created under God's will. And I think, you know, if we are thankful and grateful people, we give thanks to our God in any way that we pray, and we say thank you to him, you know, and we go forward. Take the strength that he's given us. I interviewed a young lady the other day. She's 26 years old. I think her show came out last week. 26 years old, and she's running for Congress. She's running for Congress. She's a conservative. She understands the values of America. She's a lawyer. She was a teacher, and she recognized that what they're teaching in schools is terrible. It's poison. And so she wants to fight back. She's coming forward and doing her share. And I think, you know, we have to look forward to more and more people coming out of the shadows and doing that. We have to speak up. So we're at 34 minutes. We have a few minutes to talk about anything you want to chat about. So what would you like to bring? Firstly, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, how is dear Sonja?
Good. Yeah, she's got some pain. Yeah, she got a lot of pain. As we get older, the pain thing comes on.
Yeah.
But overall, she's good. You know, she loves gardening, and we got an acre and a third, so it keeps her busy.
Oh, nice.
She loves it. Yeah, but she doesn't. She's always been a great gardener. So, yeah, it's beautiful. But she's doing well, and she puts my skills to the test, because, you know, I'm my number one passion is peacemaking, conflict resolution, putting people together and trying to figure out solutions. And with my wife, I only have people. I always tell people the same thing. Women's faults are many. Men have only two: everything they say and everything they do. As long as I realize that, just okay.
You sound like you write comedy for Ray Barone.
40 years, you got to learn stuff like that. You know,
Yeah, you got to, absolutely.
Yeah, but you know, based on what you said before, I think it's really important to speak about mindset, because so many dentists I've spoken to, I say, you know, what do you love to do? What are you passionate about? I spoke to one oral surgeon. He says, I got 150 doctors sending me their cases. My father was practicing until 82, and that's what I want to do. Very, very scarce. The supply of people who actually love it. Also, dentists have problems. They have back injuries. You know, they're leaning over patients all day. You know, one of my inspirations is my former dentist who had a massive stroke and half his body's paralyzed. And another doctor had a divorce, and he wound up losing his license, and his wife just went bankrupt because his wife was so hostile. The ex-wife was so hostile. So, you know, when you're studying conflict resolution, you learn about mindset. And you're familiar with the book, The Secret, Law of Attraction.
Oh, sure.
So, you know, one of my favorite quotes from that book is Mother Teresa, who said, I would never attend an anti-war rally
tell me when you're having a peace rally. So you got to focus your mind on what you do want. If you focus on what you don't want, your brain is going to still turn into, okay, how do I get what I don't want? But you really don't want it. So first thing, you got to know what you're doing. Get as specific as possible. And then you need to choose your words really carefully, because every word, every thought is a seed that's going to grow. They're either going to grow down or they're going to grow up, but they're going to grow. You know, to be weeds away. So it's important to ask yourself the two words I find are really critical: what and how. Because you never say, I can't do this. That's not an option. The option is, how do I get this done? Or what can I do today to get that done? And that's really important, because most times that thing is not going to happen in 1, 2, 3 days. You know, world peace is not going to happen in 1, 2 days. But if you got the mindset and you eliminate certain words like why. Yeah, if I knew why, then I wouldn't be here right now. You know? I would know why. So you got to be really careful about those two, what and how. I think it's really important, because first you say, I want to do this, then what and how am I going to get there? And then who is a good one. Who's can help me to get? And that's how you and I started. You know, just
right.
You had an issue. The insurance carrier wanted to see things, and I had some ideas for solving it.
That was only the commercial part of it. The real truth is, all right, folks, you're going to hear the truth now. This is the truth. We were song and dance men. We used to, he'd play piano and I'd get up there and I'd croon, and we'd lull people into saying, okay, stop singing. I'll do whatever you want.
Except for Unchained Melody. That one you had great.
You did pretty good with it.
You did very, very well with that. And everything you did well with. You know, that was part of the Tahoe. Remember, you told me to just play the piano, and then when everybody got there, you would tell them that I'm the lawyer who's going to help the company.
Yeah, it disarmed them, because after they liked you because you played the piano, they said, okay, he's a lawyer, but I don't like him anyway.
Exactly. I've had that happen a lot to me over the years. You know, people don't trust lawyers, but they don't have to trust musicians. They either like it or they don't, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
When they hire you to play their engagement party, their wedding, you're pretty sure they like you.
You know, I'll tell you a little story. I interviewed a man a couple of months ago, and he's a professor at St. John's University. And he is a very interesting guy. He's conservative, ultra conservative. But for 30 years, he was a DJ. And every week he would do music. And the music that he did was primarily reggae and Haitian music. And he was not any of those things. You know, he was plain vanilla, and all his people were the other. So every day I said to him, you know, you're a pretty clever guy. I bet you had a lot of students that could relate to the music you were playing. And because you did it and you brought it up and they could understand it in class, they trusted you and they opened up to you. He said, you're a sneaky person. You figured out my trap.
And for us, when we were sitting at the table and we found we had all these intersections of our path, I told you that I had a band. It was a 3 club. You told me you had a band. It was a 5 of Hearts. And I told you that I had played with the Belmonts. He said, Dion of the Belmonts? I said, this was 78. Dion was already out of the band. Yeah. He said, well, you know, I think it was Santos. My friend Santos was married to Dion's sister.
Right.
And it wasn't just Donna. It was Donna Prima Donna, who made her way into one of the songs that he did.
That's right.
So that was really incredible. And we had both had a connection with Dion. And then I saw your podcast with Santos, and he wanted to sing doo-wop stuff through the whole interview.
He's an amazing guy, because he has changed doo-wop music into Christian worship music. And he goes into prisons and many places. He's been all over the world doing this. Very well received. And he keeps plugging along. He's had his heart attack. They put stents in. He's back out there again. God bless him. Really.
And also, I got to see him play in Long Island. He was up here. And the drummer they played was Liberty DeVito, who's Billy Joel's drummer. Yeah. So, you know, he had a lot of respect from people who were pretty high up there on the professional musician. Right. I never really I never really thought I was going to be a long-term musician. Frankly, if I was, my wife wouldn't have married me. It was too easy getting girls to come up.
Oh yeah. Well, we won't talk about those things. That's in the past. So you know, the concept of the show is along the way, life's journey, and it's meant to give people an opportunity to call out and say thank you to some people who might have impacted them and motivated them or inspired them on their journey in life. either someone that you did and inspired, or someone who inspired you. Feel free to mention anyone you like.
Well, the first one was really Carl Kerner, who was a partner of the firm in the city. And I had done an externship with the partnership and wanted to do commercial litigation. As a musician, I was really tired of getting screwed over and not getting paid and stuff. It didn't happen a lot, but it was just something I really wanted to help solve. And actually wound up representing Charles Byron Griffith, who was the original screenplay writer of Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
So Carl put me in that position to learn how to litigate. And 2 years after I started with him, there was a Tax Equity Fiscal Responsibility Act that came in, and the firm decided to give away all their litigation. And it was going out the door. I said, why is it going out the door? Give it to me. So as a result of that, taking the litigation department for the Chrysler building out to Long Island, I now had a lot of value to Howard Goldson, number 2 in my path. Howard Goldson was counsel to Long Island Board of Realtors. His father was the guy who brought MLS from Pennsylvania to Long Island in the 50s. Okay. But I had this whole legacy and an expert in fair housing, which wound up becoming really valuable for HMS because these cases are very, very expensive to litigate. Right. And usually the realtor did it. You know? I mean, those cases could even rest. They had a lot of evidence.
Yeah.
So Howard is number 2. I won't give the legal plan any credit because it was all the work we did that got us to Dallas for the NAR convention, and then HMS was there. So you're definitely there, and of course the Grubers were the ones who first met me, Diane and Ron Gruber, so they were incredible. And then there were select people that were friends of what's that?
Wonderful people.
Oh, the best. And there was like Kenwood and other people that were HMS affiliates that really wanted to collaborate on this stuff, even in their spare time, which to me was great because I love creating stuff. So then it was you, and then it was Ray. Ray was the VP of claims for Florida Physicians Insurance Company. He was the one who not only got me in the door, and they used our stuff to go public. So they were pointing at our technology as something that people should invest in. And he was the one who really helped me to get 9 other medical malpractice companies into his office. I didn't have to sell. I didn't have to really do anything except get them from where they were to Jacksonville, Florida. And they would see our system in operation and tell them the results we're getting. And they would, in most cases, just buy it. That was the next level. And then after that, I have to tell you, there's a number of people who looked like diamonds in the rough. They looked like there was going to be something there. Several dentists who didn't know how to read legal documents. They figure you just ignore the legal documents and then wonder why you're in breach of 4 or 5 of the provisions because you never read it before. So that's where a lot of the split off comes. Like I wouldn't give any one because it was the experience for many people, especially at the hedge fund, because I don't want to see if you're telling the doctor you're looking out for, then why would you have a hedge fund who's looking to buy that practice for pennies on the dollar?
Right.
And then why would you have coaches going to that guy saying that they're going to help them to double their practice? And actually they're looking for a business brokerage commission. They're looking for, and several of those guys were looking to break up my network by taking all the business for themselves. And I had I can't name this person, but I heard this great story about a financial planner who made good commission, maybe $30,000. And he sent the person to a lawyer for his estate plan. Why would that lawyer send that client to somebody else for financial planning? And so the financial planner lost, another $40,000. And that's part of what motivates me is that we have to manage referrals in such a way that gets the client the better result. And in my own group, because of the way we were structured, had a CPA who brought in like $800,000 annuity. If we did it the way that the financial planner wanted to do it, we would have $200,000 over 36 years. We corrected it, and now he's get $1.6 million over 36. And then I find out James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano. When he died at the age of 52, his estate was worth $75 million. His estate lost over $30 million as a result of an error committed by his lawyer. I submit that if those documents had been reviewed by the financial planner or the CPA, they would have caught it. And if they didn't, then come back to me and let's figure out how to catch it, because this can't happen. I mean, half your estate is gone in bad taxes because your lawyer committed one problem. So it just gets back to what we've always done. It's all about collaboration. It's all about trust. And when I'm naming names here, it's people who had 100% of my trust. And if they don't, I'm not going to name them because I want people to work with them, and I'm not going to go negative on it.
Yeah, I understand. Well, we're down to the end. I have no more time. I wish there were. It's amazing when you're engaged in a conversation that's engaging, like the way this has been. The time just flies by. Here we're talking 49 minutes already, so it's time to go. And I want to thank you very much for being on the show. I appreciate you. I love you. I'd love to sing with you again soon. If we could ever make that happen, even on TV, I would like to do it. So
Do it.
I have to close it up now, so I'm going to say goodbye to the folks. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending here and watching our podcast for this week. As you know, every Wednesday morning, there's a new podcast with new guests, such as Matt and other people who have been excellent guests, every one of them along the line here. And if you know someone that you think might make a good guest on the show, feel free to write in and let me know. Please subscribe, give a likes up for Matthew's show so people will know to contact him. And as I said earlier, all of his information will be in the show notes. And I will remind you, tell your story. I believe everyone has their own story. You have one, I have one, Matt has one. And if we don't tell it to friends and neighbors and share the legacy before it's too late, it's too late. No one will ever benefit from it. So tell your story. And as I say always, and I say to my dear friend Matt here, tell someone you love them today. It's important. Bye, Matt.
I love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning into the show. I hope that it resonated with you. It certainly did with me. And I hope it encouraged you to realize the true power of your story. As a reminder, new episodes will be released Wednesday mornings on your favorite podcast apps, and also on YouTube as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn your notification button on to ensure that you receive updates on new episode releases. I'm grateful for your reviews and your support. The love is certainly felt. Keep it coming. You can reach out to connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or stop by my website to everypageatturning.com. All links are clickable in the show notes for quick access. Do you think that you or someone you know may be our most inspiring guest yet? Let's hope so. Click on our contact page and get in touch on my website and share your story. I look forward to reading each one personally. My best-selling book, To Every Page a Turning, which was published by Mascot Books, is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, and many more popular book retailers. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Till next time, remember that every day is a new opportunity to write your new page in your incredible journey. And it is incredible. You're the only one who has it.